9 people stand on a stage. US officials, European regulators, executives from the most powerful tech companies. They decide how the world will govern artificial intelligence. A year ago, everyone asked, how do we make AI safe? That changed. The message now is, move faster, regulate later, deal with harm after. AI isn't distant anymore. It decides who gets loans, job interviews, police attention, medical care. Nobody outside companies knows how. That's exactly what the industry wants. Tech companies push to keep AI lightly regulated. Some supported blocking state regulation for a decade. They frame this as public benefit. Their argument, America falls behind if we regulate too much. That hides something uglier. Why are companies buying influence in Washington? Why lobby everywhere? Why weaken legal protections built over decades? Because AI is already causing harm. A healthcare algorithm used spending data to determine patient care. It learned less money was spent on Black patients, so it concluded they needed less treatment. This wasn't theoretical. It affected millions of real people. We have laws to stop this, antitrust laws, consumer protections, medical privacy laws, civil rights laws, labor protections. The legal framework exists. Companies deploy AI violating these protections. The public finds out through whistleblowers and journalists after damage occurs. This reveals AI's biggest problem: opacity. Less transparent systems make accountability impossible. Nobody knows responsibility or what went wrong. Yet the industry avoids discussing this. Instead, the public hears promises. AI will transform work, solve education, supercharge the economy, unlock scientific progress. What's actually happening is less inspiring. Children's voice recordings stored indefinitely, biometric data harvested and sold to police, job candidates rejected by facial analysis, health insurers mass denying claims, landlords coordinating rents using algorithms. There's probably much more nobody knows. America has no federal law forcing disclosure of AI use, data sources, system risks, or harms. States stepped in. California and Colorado considered basic guardrails: follow the law, disclose AI, apply same rules to AI as everything else. Then in May, something changed. A federal budget bill contained a provision blocking state AI regulation for 10 years. It was dropped, but revealed Silicon Valley's goal: outrun regulation entirely. How does an industry become untouchable for a decade? Money. 5 major tech companies spent over $100 million lobbying since ChatGPT launched. But that's only part of it. Tech companies fund academic research institutions studying AI. Tech firms have far more money than universities do, so the people defining AI's future are often financially tied to companies most invested in expanding it without restrictions. Organizations connected to tech fund congressional staff as public interest technologists. The regulated industry influences who helps lawmakers understand technology. Executive institutions setting AI standards increasingly higher from the industry they oversee. The pattern is absolutely clear now. Lobbying pressure, academic influence, strategic staffing pipelines, institutional capture. All of it points in the same direction: weaker rules, slower oversight, and are in maximum possible room for industry expansion without meaningful constraint. In Texas, for example, policymakers drafted what was initially a serious AI bill that could have become a model for other states. But industry rewrote it so heavily that its original strength disappeared entirely. This is the pattern. Bills start with guardrails. Industry steps in with resources and influence. The strongest protections get systematically stripped. What remains looks like regulation on the surface, without actually regulating much of anything. The public wants the opposite. Polls show people want more AI oversight, nearly 3-to-1. When the public distrusts you and goals are unpopular, industries use fear. Here, that fear is China. The message: if America regulates too much, China wins. China winning means America loses its edge. And that means catastrophe. This appears whenever serious regulation gains traction. Regulation becomes weakness. Oversight becomes liability. Speed becomes patriotic. But China isn't treating artificial intelligence as a free-for-all or unregulated marketplace. China has structured AI regulation while aggressively developing it. Even accepting geopolitical competition logic, the argument falls apart. If China can regulate and compete, deregulation isn't the only path. The AI race narrative looks less like policy and more like a Trojan horse for stripping oversight. So what's the real endgame? Power, market control, profit. That's the dirty secret. Despite utopian language, companies leading this are under enormous pressure. They've spent astonishing amounts on AI infrastructure, training, chips, data centers. There's no clear path to promised profitability. Meta spent hundreds of millions on data centers. The entire industry invested around $200 billion in AI infrastructure. Yet the business model looks shaky. Originally, AI would become essential for businesses everywhere, generating massive revenue. But adoption has been messier. These systems are unreliable, expensive, and often unhelpful in practice. They consume enormous computing power. Building is expensive. Running is expensive. Scaling is expensive. The industry bets enough ChatGPT users will eventually create profitability. But hope isn't a business model. A hedge fund estimated in early 2025 that actual AI product spending, excluding data center costs, was only $16 billion. To deliver expected returns, that needs reaching $200 billion. And that's not a gap, that's a canyon. When companies invest hundreds of billions without clear profitability, they manufacture the future they need. That's where AGI enters. Artificial general intelligence, the industry's most powerful word. It sounds enormous, transformational, mythological. But look at how companies define it. OpenAI describes AGI as systems outperforming humans at most economically valuable work. In their Microsoft agreement, AGI equals generating $100 billion in profit. This isn't language about curing cancer or helping humanity. The contractual definition aims at commercial value, reaching $100 billion. Now everything makes sense. The lobbying, state regulation blocks, policy capture, China campaigns, pressure-weakening guardrails. One strategy: remove every obstacle slowing the path to scale. Dominance, profit. Next time an AI executive discusses curing cancer or uplifting humanity, ask, what are they actually building? From outside, it looks less like humanitarian revolution and more like creating the most profitable, business-friendly, labor-disruptive technology in history. That should concern every one of us. The choice isn't innovation versus safety. That's false. The real choice is whether 9 people on a stage, backed by billions in corporate money, decide AI's future, or whether we demand technology serves people instead of exploiting them. The system is working exactly as designed, just not for us.